Brett saying that they watched Parallel Mothers last night and they were riveted. The trailer, I think, is actually misleading in a very fun way. If you were to try to figure out what the story was of Parallel Mothers from that trailer, you would think, oh, Penelope Cruz has a child, there's a man in her life who is trying to figure out if the kid is actually his, and the main tension of the story is between the two of them trying to determine if maybe Penelope Cruz had an affair with someone else and is not owning up to it. And then also at the same time, Penelope Cruz's character is training a new nanny in order to take care of the child. And that is not at all the case. Those little things that I just mentioned, they are in Parallel Mothers, but that is not what Parallel Mothers is about. And I'm not going to get into spoilers because I want people to actually go see this film because it is absolutely wonderful. But one of the great things about having the trailer being so misleading is that it really throws you for a loop as a viewer, because you go in expecting one thing and you start getting a lot of different things. And so as the film progresses, as the film goes on, you start to question every little thing about the film. You start to wonder, well, if the trailer lied to me about this, then what can I even assume is going to happen next? What could potentially happen? What are the possibilities? And at that moment, because your conception of what the film is supposed to be has been broken, all possibilities become possible. I honestly cannot say if this was the intention. This was just my experience with the film, but having my expectations dashed so thoroughly so early in the film really left me feeling like I was floating in the ocean without a life raft, and I was just grasping onto whatever the film would give me so that I could at some point just, become settled in the film. And it doesn't really happen. There is one thing though that I do want to bring up about the story that was very strange to me. It largely had to do with like a B plot in the film, so it doesn't really give away too much. Basically, the two characters that you see, Penelope Cruz and the man that she is talking to, they end up meeting each other because Penelope Cruz's grandparents and great-grandparents, I believe it's the great-grandfather, was killed during the Spanish Civil War, and she's trying to get the bones of her grandfather back. They're pretty sure they know which mass grave their grandfather is buried in, and they're trying to get money, help, funding from the government in order to dig up that mass grave. And so this thread goes throughout the entire film. It doesn't really have anything to do with the A plot. Like, the characters from the A plot are involved in this B plot, but in terms of like informing the decision-making process of a lot of the people in the A plot, like, they don't really intersect that much from a story perspective. And so you're kind of left with this plot line that everyone's very much invested in, but not to the extent that it should matter to the story of the film. So it's very strange. And what it ends up adding to the film is this very prevalent, not even nuanced, inclusion of anti-fascism. And this constant reminder that fascists existed. They took over Spain in like the 1950s. There was a civil war. Franco, the leader of the fascist party in Spain, was a complete dirtbag, asshole, shithead, kind of like what we're dealing with Vladimir Putin. And by the end of it, you're just like, oh, this was a great story, and also fuck fascists. That's cool. That's a cool thing. And so it seems a little too brained at times, or it's trying to do like two separate things at the same time. But I think maybe the confusion created by the way that the plots intertwined with each other or didn't intertwine with each other also just helped with the tension of the film, because you don't really know where things are going if you go in totally blind. It's wild. It's a wild film. There is a political subplot in Parallel Mothers. The history behind the political story is really heartbreaking. Can't we all just get along? Yeah, that would be really nice if we could all get along, except the fascists don't want us to. Yeah, once the A-plot reaches its climax, I felt like the rest of the film lost its momentum and felt disconnected, but still powerful. The A-plot still had some interesting things like hanging over it, as even though it had just concluded, and I kept wondering, like, is the film gonna pull a fast one on me? What is it going to do? And then it didn't do those things, and it ended up just focusing very plainly on like that anti-fascist thing. It's how the film ends is with the anti-fascist thing. It's just strange. It's just strange, but also I loved it because fascists are dumb and they should be destroyed.